Thank you, Peggy, for coming to speak to me today. I'm so excited to be able to talk to you about your experiences in the Body Love Academy. I think you were one of the very first people to sign up. You were in like Flynn, it felt like. And it's been a pleasure to watch you kind of grow and expand and try out new things over the last 12 months. So thanks so much for taking a chance on my little course.
Oh, thank you, Emma, for creating the course and chatting with me through the process of signing up and talking me through that, and obviously through your support throughout going through the process. It's really cool.
My pleasure. So what made you decide to join the Body Love Academy last year?
So I'd been doing quite a few programs and had been an existing customer of yours for quite a few years, and was just getting to that place where I was kind of getting sick of where I was at. I was in a little bit of a rut. I've got a side hustle business. I do stamping and card making and those sorts of things. So primarily I did it for myself, for my own body love journey as the next step in that evolution, and then also hoping that I would learn some other things to build onto my existing business and also create possibly another side business or a combination of the two. I was very open to just watching how that would evolve, but primarily it was for me. And I just kept, as you're doing your marketing for the income to the start of the Body Love Academy, I just kept seeing it popping up. Your posts on Facebook and your emails and different things everywhere. It was just popping up, and the universe just seemed to keep shouting at me, ding, 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 you need to take this step. So I followed that intuition and contacted you to have a chat and find out exactly what was involved.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, like most of the women that I have interviewed about the academy, that's what they said. They're like, I just kept seeing it everywhere. It felt like a sign, so I decided to sign up. And I think it's easy to sort of like push that down and go, I don't have the time, I don't have the money. But I think if you're feeling like it's a sign, then it is a sign, and it's good to follow through.
Well, and I think sometimes too, when you're connected close enough to it, where sometimes you may not have the time or the money, if it's important enough to you and you're connected enough to what it is that you're signing up for, you will make it work. You'll work out a payment plan, you'll borrow some money, you'll shuffle your schedule to make it work so that you can fit it in because you've shuffled it to the top of your priority list.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. So talking about time, like you have a full-time job, you have this other side hustle. How did you make time for the Body Love Academy last year?
So coming into it, I knew that time was going to be a little bit of a challenge for me, and I did have a good solid long think about where I could make some time or prioritise some time for the Body Love Academy. So I knew that I was going to be challenged and have times where I was just very tired. And obviously being about body love, we're all about following those little intuitive guides from our body. So I'm not saying that it was easy and smooth sailing all the time. I think for a portion of time in the first couple of months while we were doing the Body Love Method portion, I actually kind of dropped out for a little while, and you were very gentle and caring way. You were very kind to say that we didn't have to do everything. It wasn't on a very prescriptive timetable. We could take a step back when we needed to process what it was that we were learning, or if we had life stuff come up, and then just come back to it. So I know, have a little bit of a gap there, and then I made that up later on. So I just dealt with my own stuff and just shuffled things in. Also, you being very flexible with the suggested reading that we had, as it was explained that it was suggested reading. It wasn't required course material, that we didn't have to do all of the readings available. So basically just learning to trust my body, shuffle in time and schedule time where I could, but then also learn to trust that intuitive guide from within, that sometimes you do need to take that step back.
Yeah, and it's not actually something I intended, but the way it turned out is it's a beautiful body love lesson, isn't it? It's like some days we're full of energy and we can get everything done, and then some days we're not. So adult learning is like that. You don't have to be anywhere or any place at a certain time, but it's a great learning of trusting your intuition and how your body works and how much energy you've got. So yeah,
and then I tended to find that if I was really struggling with finding the time outside, I would use my lunch break at work I would put my earbuds in. I would go and listen to the training for the week while I was having a walk around the block, so getting out of the office and getting some fresh air, taking that, and then I'd come back at the end of the day and go through my notes and write out my reflections or my journals or the assignment for that week. So my week itself built into a way to actually manage to get through the course material.
Yeah. Well done to you. So what was the highlight of the program for you?
I think really probably the highlight for me was all of the really beautiful connections that we made with all of the lovely ladies that went through the academy, that were all in the times that we were chatting together, we would all tend to say much the same things with our own perspective and our own circumstances wrapped in around them, but we would all echo but the same basic sentiment, either about trusting our intuition or feeling stressed about a particular thing, or, you know, how we were processing some of the activities that we were doing when we would get together and we would have the question and answer sessions, or when we would get together for coffee catch-ups or other catch-ups that we did. Just that wonderful connection that you weren't this little island, which sometimes you can be in online training, that you've got those connections that you can make. And that probably be one of the things is, yeah, if you're going through the academy, reach out to those people in there and really, you know, help deepen that, because we're all going through the same things, and just having that person to bounce off sometimes as you got further along when we were doing the coaching, having those people that have got the same learnings, yes, was very, very handy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was one of the most beautiful things to watch, was everyone connecting and yeah, saying the same things often at the same time. And, you know, it was good learning for me too. I can make some tweaks for the next year and that sort of thing as well. So yeah, it was really great to watch. What about any low lights or, you know, some lower times for you during the course? Was there anything you can think of?
I found somewhere where I found it challenging was towards the end, where I was doing we were doing the practical actual coaching sessions. Sorry, stumbling over my words there. When we were doing those coaching sessions and then we were still having new learnings, sometimes my brain was a little bit overwhelmed with some of that. So that was a little bit of a challenge, but that's just about your own personal management of what you've got going on. So just learning to manage those things as they come up, because we can't control everything. We've got to just roll with what comes up, and it's all how you internally react to what the external is happening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that's the thing about doing a 12-month course, is that, like, it's not going to be smooth sailing for 12 months, because life's not smooth sailing for 12 months. And so I think some people might be worried about that if they were going to do the 12-month certification course. It's like, what if I can't get through it? I've heard that a few times, but it's like, you will, because you don't have to get everything done in a certain period of time, really. Like, even now, we've finished the course and some people are still finishing off their assignments and things, because that was where they're at in their lives. So it's not prescriptive of when everything has to happen. So yeah,
yes, your delivery of materials happens over a prescriptive time, but our response and learning and processing of that can be a little bit more flexible.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And so tell us a bit more about what you're going to do now, how you're going to spread the body love message to the world, or your part of the world.
Okay, all right. So I have started a Facebook business page. Originally started out as Peggy Quarmby Albany. I've now evolved that already in this short little 6-7 month period into Inspired with Peggy Quarmby. So this is a combination of both of my loves, the stamping and the creativity, and I'm intertwining it with the self-care. So self-care is my version of body love, taking care of myself and nurturing myself to do what's needed for me in any given moment. So that would apply to anybody else coming along, and everybody else out there, whether you call it body love or self-care or self-love, doesn't matter what terminology fits and resonates with you, however that works. So I've recently run a treasure tin workshop, which was all about noticing the treasured little moments or good little moments in every day, and starting to do a little mini journaling exercise and note that down on each day, and then putting it in a decorative tin that we make and create. So there'll be some more little mini workshops coming up in the future, some with affirmations, some on journaling, a whole range of different things that I've got planned to be coming up to watch out for. And where it goes from there, nobody knows.
Beautiful. But you're totally open to whatever comes. I can see that.
Oh, well, let's loosen the reins a little bit and just see what happens, what occurs, and where it takes you.
Yeah.
You plan everything out, you miss some beautiful little detours along the way.
Absolutely. Perfectly said. I think we need to leave it on that note. That was beautifully said. Thanks so much for sharing with us, Peggy.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Emma.